পূর্ণমাসী জয় আভিরা নগরী। জয় রাধে জয় কৃষ্ণ জয় বৃন্দাবন, শ্রী গোবিন্দ গোপীনাথ মদন মোহন। জয় রাধে জয় কৃষ্ণ জয় বৃন্দাবন, শ্রী গোবিন্দ গোপীনাথ মদন মোহন। জয় রাম ঘাট জয় রোহিণী নন্দন, জয় জয় বৃন্দাবনবাসী যতজন। জয় রাম ঘাট জয় রোহিণী নন্দন, জয় জয় বৃন্দাবনবাসী যতজন। জয় দ্বিজ পত্নী জয় নাগ কন্যা গণে, ভক্তিতে যাহারা পাইল গোবিন্দ চরণ। জয় দ্বিজ পত্নী জয় নাগ কন্যা গণে, ভক্তিতে যাহারা পাইল গোবিন্দ চরণ। জয় রাধে জয় কৃষ্ণ জয় বৃন্দাবন, শ্রী গোবিন্দ গোপীনাথ মদন মোহন। শ্রীরাস মণ্ডল জয় জয় রাধা শ্যাম, জয় জয় রাস লীলা সর্বমনোরম। শ্রীরাস মণ্ডল জয় জয় রাধা শ্যাম, জয় জয় রাস লীলা সর্বমনোরম। জয় জয় চলা রাস সর্বরাস সার, পরকিয়া ভাবে যাহা ব্রজেতে প্রচার। জয় জয় চলা রাস সর্বরাস সার, পরকিয়া ভাবে যাহা ব্রজেতে প্রচার। শ্রীজান বাপাদ পদ্ম করিয়া স্মরণ, দীন কৃষ্ণ দাসী কহে নাম সংকীর্তন। শ্রীজান বাপদ পদ্ম করিয়া প্রণাম, দীন কৃষ্ণ দাস কহে নাম সংকীর্তন। জয় রাধে জয় কৃষ্ণ জয় বৃন্দাবন, শ্রী গোবিন্দ গোপীনাথ মদন মোহন। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। হরে কৃষ্ণ 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 হরে হরে, হরে রাম 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 হরে হরে। Hari bol. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Lovely Kirtan, Prabhuji. Very nice. Hari bol.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Wonderful Kirtan. Thank you so much. Let's begin with our prayers. Om Ajnanatimmirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Katamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute. Sapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Thank you for joining again. So we are in chapter 15, the yoga of the Supreme Person, Purushottama Yoga. Uttama means supreme. So we'll do the summary. Before that, let's pay our obeisances to Sri Radha Govinda and Srila Prabhupada. So this is where we stopped. So this is the summary. So in this chapter, the material world is compared to an upside down banyan tree. So that's what we learned. So in the first 5 verses, becoming detached from the material world, which is the reflection of the spiritual world. This material world, which is compared to the upside down banyan tree, is actually a reflection of the spiritual world. Whatever we see here, the variegatedness, it exists in the spiritual world also. And we have to cut this tree with the axe of detachment. and surrender to Krishna. Then from 6 to 11, Purushottama Yoga, transmigrations. So we are all jivas, fragmental parts and parcels of Krishna. We are transmigrating, we are changing bodies. Why are we doing that? Because of our own material mind and our own senses. So that's explained in these verses. 16 to 20, the three shloka Bhagavad Gita, summarizing the Vedas and the Vedanta kinds of living entities. So we also learn that Krishna is the maintainer of all living entities, the fallible, the infallible, and he is Akshara, infallible, but the living entities are fallible, Shara. His position is different. So we'll understand all this now. Where did we stop? We'll just go to that slide once. See, this is where we stopped. There are so many yogis, they call themselves yogis. That's why Prabhupada says, the so-called yogis. They call themselves yogis. That's why they're called so-called yogis. Transcendentalists, that's what they call. They are actually blind when it comes to self-realization because they perform some kind of exercise, bodily exercise. They try to maintain their health, maintain their body. They do some kind of gymnastics and they think they have become yogis. But if they are not performing devotional service, if they are not bhakti yogis, engaged in pure devotional service, if they are not Krishna conscious, we cannot call them yogis actually. So only bhakti yoga teaches a person who is actually in pure devotional service. Only he can understand everything about the soul, the transmigrations, and his position, his constitutional position, and the Lord's position. Everything he can understand. And then let's read this once. The endeavoring transcendentalist who is situated in self-realization can see all this clearly. Those who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. So a person's conduct, life, everything should be in alignment with the principles of Krishna consciousness. Then he's a true yogi. He has to be sincere. Only a person who is very sincere in his spiritual practice, devotional service, only he can understand transcendental knowledge. Prabhupada explains this very clearly. He says, nobody else can understand knowledge, only a person who is sincere. Others, they may try all this exercise and they will not have any knowledge. On a mental platform, you cannot understand anything. This will become clear as we go towards the end of this chapter. On a mental platform, we cannot understand transcendental knowledge. So what's the way? Let's go to this verse. Those not trained in knowledge are in ignorance. What is the cure of this ignorance? What is the cure for this ignorance? Krishna says knowledge. So let's understand this in a more clear way. So those who are trained can see all this clearly because their minds are clarified by yoga practice and thus situated in self-realization. But those whose minds are not developed and who are not situated in self-realization cannot see what is taking place, though they may try to. Bhakti yogis are the actual yogis, have realized self, world, and the Supreme Lord. See, a person in Bhakti Yoga has realized all this and he can see things as they are. Why we are stressing on this so much? It sounds like this is simple information, but if we actually look around, there are many people who are actually not devotees of Krishna. They may think Krishna is just like you and I, just like a human being. He just appeared. We say he appeared and he's in Goloka, he's everywhere, his energies are everywhere. All this information we get from Bhagavad Gita, but there are many people, they have a different concept of self-realization. They don't really understand who is God, what is the absolute truth, nothing. So Purushottama Yoga, Krishna's position as the maintainer, section C, from verses 12 to 15. Let's go ahead and learn. We did this. No, we didn't do this. Okay. The splendor of the sun in this verse is giving more information about himself. The splendor of the sun, which dissipates the darkness of this whole world, comes from me. And the splendor of the moon and the splendor of fire or also from me. Krishna is giving so much information about himself because only he can give that information. Nobody else can. That is why he's talking about himself so much. Now let's understand here. Same information is explained a little more here. Can someone recite this verse, please? Hare Krishna. Vanaja Mataji, do you want to try, Mataji? Do you want to recite?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Okay, Mataji. Gama Vishya Bhutani Dharayamyaham Pushnami Chaushadis Sarvas Somo Bhutvarasatmakaha. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Okay, can someone read the translations also, please? Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, may I?
Yes, Mataji, sure.
Yeah. I enter into each planet and by my energy, they stay in orbit. I become the moon and thereby supply the juice of life to all vegetables. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. So all these planets that are floating in space, all those are due to the energy of the Lord, due to the entering of the energy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The energy sustains these planets. So they are moving, all the non-moving and moving things, everything, everything stays in its place. This is all happening because it's all being programmed by the Lord himself. Let me mute. So Krishna is telling, everything is happening because of my will. And as a Paramatma, his plenary portion enters into each of these planets, every atom, every living entity, and that's why everything becomes manifested appropriately. See, we are here, we can understand. We are very sure when we go to sleep, the sun will rise tomorrow. So when sun rises, what happens? All our activities start. Everything is set up. And when moonshine happens, what happens? That information is given here. All the vegetables are nourished. That is because of the moon, the moon rays. It is saying the vegetables, they have a distinct taste. They're so delicious. Each fruit, each vegetable, it is so succulent, so tasty, so delicious. That is all because of the influence of the moon. That information is given in this shloka. And it's also given that the moon is one of the stars. Nakshatranam aham shashi. Krishna says that. So moon is also considered as one of the stars. That's what the shloka says. So let's go ahead. Who would like to recite this verse? Hare Krishna.
Mataji, may I try?
Sure, Mataji.
Aham Vaishvanaro Bhutva Pranimam Deham Ashrita Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachami Annam Chaturvidham. Translation. I am the fire of digestion in the bodies of all living entities, and I join with the air of life, outgoing and incoming, to digest the 4 kinds of foodstuff. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. According to Ayurveda, it is said that, there is fire in the stomach which digests all the food that we eat. Everything is sent there, is digested because of the fire. And this is also confirmed in so many. Prabhupada gives references. It is there in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, and he says which verse is talking about it. So the Supreme Lord, which is the Brahman, it is called, the word term used is Brahman. Brahman is situated in the form of fire in the stomach, and that is the reason everything is digested properly. So the fire is also a representation of the Supreme Lord. It's a representative of Krishna himself. So let's understand a little more of this. Hare Krishna, can someone recite this one?
Hare Krishna Mataji. Shall I recite?
Yes, Mataji.
Sarvasya chaham hridi sannivishto mattas pradirjnanamohanancha वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृत्वेदविदेव चाहम्. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Can you read the translation also, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji. I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta, and I am the knower of the Vedas. Hare Krishna, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Mataji. So this verse tells us the purpose of the Vedas, and Krishna is saying he is the compiler of the Veda. Vedas are coming from him. So the understanding of the Vedas, the goal of Vedas, everything is given here. He's all pervading, he's localized as Paramatma, and he's saying, the remembrance. See, we don't remember our past lives. Nothing. We don't really know what really happened before we took this body. So same way, we forget everything. As soon as we give up this body, if we are taking another body, which we don't want to, again we'll forget whatever happened this life. So that is also that remembrance. What we remember is, as soon as we are born, there are some activities that we do. Even animals do that. Some things that we call that instincts. So that much remembrance comes from Krishna. He's witness to all these activities, and he gives that knowledge and that remembrance to start our deeds. Whatever is required of us, that much we can do. All the activities are initiated by him. See, he's sitting in the heart. And he also rewards our activities. All our fruitive activities, we get rewards for all that. And then, but what we forget, that is also because of Krishna. So he is worshipable in the form of the incarnation of the Vedas. The compiler of the Vedas, Vasudev, he is also actually incarnation of Lord Krishna. So let us go over this slide. Yeah, Krishna is the maintainer of the material world. Okay. The sun, moon, fire, electricity, splendor comes from the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What is the benefit of such a conception of life as given in this verse? Okay, so Krishna is the source of light, sustenance, and the juice of life. So as moon, he actually supplies the juice of life. Someone is unmuted. No. So as moon, he is supplying all the juice of life of all the plants and vegetables. So this is a little more explained here. Krishna is the maintainer of the material world. Verse number 13. Krishna holds the earth, which gives vegetables. Vegetables are nourished by moonshine, which comes from the Lord again. So Krishna as the maintainer of the material world. The 4 kinds of food that we digest, it's all because of Krishna. What are the 4 kinds? We'll see now. 4 kinds of food swallowed. Some we just swallow. Some we chew. Some are licked. Some are sucked. So all kinds of food. Digest, we need Krishna's energy as fire and life airs outgoing and incoming. So we are not independent in the eating process also. We may say, I'm independent of Krishna, I'm so independent, I'm so great, all this, but we can't even digest our food without his mercy. So everything that we are enjoying, everything that even Duryodhana was enjoying that way. He had sun, he had water, he had everything. The Lord's mercy was there. He was impartial. To everyone, he's impartial. So they also say if the fire is not going nicely, that means that person will need some kind of treatment because digestion is not happening properly. So just a minute. So the Lord is situated in this form, in fire, and he's also in the sound, he's within the body, he's in the air, and he's in the stomach, is digestive forces. And so these 4 kinds of foods that are mentioned here, they are called chewed means bhakshya. Lehya means licked up. This is in the verse actually. Those words are used. Bhakshya, lehya, and chosya. All these words, terminologies are used. Bhojya. Bhojya means you sipping. We sip some foods. So he's the digestive force for all of this. Okay. Now, Sarvasya Chaham Hridi Sannivishto means what does that mean? Patta Smritir Gnanam Apohanancha. Remembrance, knowledge, everything is coming from Krishna. Forget to blame. This is just a summary of what we just studied. Vedesta Sarve Rahameva Vedyo Vedanta Krit Veda Videva Chaham. Again. So we have to understand that Krishna is all in all. He's the deliverance of the conditioned souls. He's the digester of foodstuffs. He's the witness for all our activities. He's the giver of knowledge because he's saying Vedas are coming from him, and he's the teacher in Bhagavad Gita. So if we are serious about understanding Vedic knowledge, because we belong to, it's like, our culture is Vedic culture. So if you are very serious in understanding Vedic knowledge, Krishna himself gives the intelligence also. We can understand everything only by Krishna's mercy, and we can understand our relationship with him by gaining the right kind of knowledge. And all this will happen only if we are actually under the guidance of a spiritual master. So that is very, very important. Without the mercy of a devotee or the Lord himself, we cannot understand this knowledge 100%. So section D, Purushottama Yoga, the 3 shloka Bhagavad Gita summarizing the Vedas and the Vedanta kinds of living entities. There are 2 classes of beings. There are so many living entities in this world. So there are 2 classes of beings, the fallible and the infallible. Now we'll understand, can we become infallible? Is that possible? Now we say all living entities in the conditioned state, they are fallible. How do we become infallible? Is that possible? In the material world, every entity is fallible. And in the spiritual world, every entity is called infallible. So when we are in contact with the material world, we are Jiva Bhutas. That's what we are called. We are fallible. So we deviate from our true nature, which is spiritual. That is why we are Jiva Bhutas. But when there is oneness with the Lord, oneness does not mean we are going to merge into Him. Oneness means unity. It does not mean we don't have any individuality. It means there is no disunity. We all will be agreeable to the purpose of the Lord's plan, His creation and everything. That is called oneness. It is like you see all the Gopas sitting around Krishna. They're all looking at him and smiling, and Krishna is sitting in the center. All of them have love for him. There is unity there. That is oneness. That is what it means when in Bhagavad Gita, when we read about oneness, that's what it means. It never means that we'll just give up this body and just go merge into the, into Krishna. So Arjuna and Krishna, they are 2 separate individuals. Arjuna will never merge into Krishna, Krishna will never merge into Arjuna. So that's what it means. But they are, all the devotees, that is why there is so much harmony in the spiritual world, because their purpose is to please Krishna, nothing else. Besides these 2, there is the greatest living personality, the Lord himself, who has entered into these worlds and is maintaining them. Fallible and infallible. Sri Krishna is everywhere. He's trying to maintain us. He's the only well-wisher. He's the only maintainer. He's the only proprietor. Okay, please recite this one, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yasmat aksharamati aksharadapi chotamaha atosmi loke vede cha pratita purushottamaha. Because I am transcendental beyond both the fallible and the infallible, and because I am the greatest, I am celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the supreme person. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. He's saying he's the greatest of all personalities, the supreme person, Purushottama, Uttama. So no one can surpass him in quantity of his inconceivable potencies. That's what it means. We are quantitatively never going to be equal to Krishna. Qualitatively, yes, we have his qualities, but quantitatively, quantity of his inconceivable potencies, nothing will never become like him. So the conditioned souls, either even if they are liberated, they'll never become equal to Krishna. So that's what it means. Once Brahma wanted to test Krishna, he was watching him and he really, because Krishna was like a little boy, he was like, he really wanted to know, let me see what happens. Let me kidnap all these cowherd boys and all the cows. And he tested something. Vanasha Mataji, you are so regular in Krishna book, Mataji. Would you like to narrate this incident, Mataji? What really happened? Why Brahma took away the boys, and when he returned, what happened? How can you narrate this particular pastime? Vanasha Mataji? She's muted. Mataji, are you there? Anyway, I'll let you know. Do you all know about this pastime? Brahma actually kidnapped all the boys and all the cows.
Yes,
Once
Mataji.
Brahma, would you like to narrate, Mataji? That's in your own words.
I'll try, Mataji. I'll try.
Okay.
Once Krishna, once Brahma was wondering why this little boy could do all these wonderful activities like killing so many demons and all. One day he saw Krishna and his cowherd boy friends tending the cows. So he came there and took away all the cows and calves.
Calves, Mataji. Calves.
Yeah, all the calves. Then Krishna understood this, and he found that the calves were missing. So he expanded himself into so many number of calves, and he took them and went home in the evening. And after so many days, Brahma wanted to see what is happening. So he came there and saw it was as usual. But Krishna was, he felt ashamed, Brahma felt ashamed that even though he had stolen the calves to check Krishna.
The boys also. Thank you, Mataji.
Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, Mataji. So Brahma actually stole, very nice, Mataji. You actually narrated, I will continue. So actually he had stolen the boys also, the boys and the calves. So when Krishna came to know what he did, he expanded himself into so many boys and so many calves. So because it was evening time, and when the evening, if he goes back alone, all the mothers who are waiting for the sons and all the cows that are waiting for the calves, they will be bewildered. They will get a shock, like where is my child? So he expanded. And in 13th chapter of Krishna book, it's explained so beautifully. Each person has his own qualities and each person looks different. See, every baby that is born in this world looks different, right? You see, we all have different fingerprints. And once Mataji was saying, even if you want to manufacture something, how many varieties of chips can you make? And see the creation, every kid that is born has its own qualities, its own behavior and mood and everything. So like this, these boys are also very distinct that way. And Krishna had to expand into so many boys, and he manifested all those qualities also. Nobody can make out this is Krishna. So when the boys went back home, the mothers were happy, the cows were happy. So it went on for 1 year. But what happened was their love was like overflowing. All the parents, not just the mothers, the fathers were also showing extraordinary affection. Balram noticed this one day after it was almost 1 year. He was wondering, something is very odd because so much care is not necessary, and his fathers are so much affectionate, unbelievably affectionate. And the cows are also, they want to feed the cows which don't need milk anyway. They are eating, they are grazing. He asked Krishna, Krishna, tell me what is happening. Who are these kids? Is it your expansion or what? He gets a doubt. Then Krishna will actually disclose everything. By then Brahma comes back. So for Brahma, it is just one moment. He takes the cows and he disappears. He puts them to sleep with his mystic potency. puts them to sleep because he has some powers too. But in front of Krishna's potency, his potency was nothing. He realized that. So after one moment is for him 1 moment, for us 1 year. That's because his timing is different, his life is different. They say, right, 1 day of Brahma, 12 hours of Brahma is equal to 1,000 times the duration of Chatur Yugas, the duration of 4 ages, 1,000 times. Chaturyugas is 12 hours of Brahma. So you can understand his day is very long, and it was just like a second. He went 1 moment like this and brought the boys back. Then he realized and he could see all the boys were looking like this. You see these Vishnu Murtis here? They were not Jiva Tattvas. We are all Jiva Tattvas. But these are all his personal expansions, Vishnu Murtis. He saw, he was like, wow, so many Krishnas I'm seeing, so many Vishnu Murtis. Then immediately he apologized and everything. Krishna is very merciful that way, you know. He knows whom to punish, when to punish, because Indra is his devotee, Brahma is his devotee, they are all working for him. He, you know, like a parent, he knows how to actually teach them a lesson. When Indra actually flooded the whole Vrindavan, he knew what to do. He just had to lift that Govardhana hill and show his, you know, capacity, what Indra is capable of, and how Krishna can protect his devotees. He just showed that. With Brahma also, he'll apologize. Brahma will apologize, and Krishna will like, okay, fine, no problem. He doesn't, you know, just send him back. He won't talk much. He's just waiting to go back and join his pastime. So it very nicely it's explained, the analogies and a lot of details are there in the 13th chapter. You can read, it's a long chapter. So that is Krishna. So that just pastime shows who is Krishna actually. All his activities are wonderful because no human being can perform what Krishna did. You know, he killed so many demons, and those demons were defeated. Even demigods could not defeat these demons. They were very powerful, such powerful demons. So let's see this. There are two kinds of living entities: fallible, conditioned in the material world, and infallible, liberated in the spiritual. Okay. Supreme Soul is master of both. He is the greatest personality. He enters the three worlds and then maintains them. Krishna, I am that Supreme Soul, celebrated both in the world and in the Vedas as the Supreme Person. Because Vedas also talk about Narayana, all this. Om Tat Sat, all this description is given in the 17th chapter and all. He says he is that Supreme Person. He is the Yagneshwara, Yogeshwara, everything. So we conditioned souls in our, you know, this infallible condition, our body keeps changing. We have birth, growth, and then we stay for some time. Then there is reproduction. Then living entities dwindle. They vanish. This is all happening because of matter. We are in touch with matter. That's why body is undergoing all these changes. But once we enter the spiritual world, we have the spiritual bodies which will not undergo those 6 changes at all. You know, it will not age. There is no age. There is no nothing going on over there. Only in this world we have this problem, like birth, growth, you know, all this giving birth to offspring, and then age, old age, and then we know how it is to age. The body really withers away. The spiritual bodies are totally different, and they are all called liberated. And whether we are there or here, Krishna is only maintaining us. That does not change. This is again to show that all the demigods, they are approaching Shirodakshayi Vishnu. When Mother Earth, you know, she was actually in distress. She did not like what was going on because there were so many asuras troubling and all. So she approached Brahma. Then Brahma, along with all the other demigods, they approached Vishnu. Here you see, that is Krishna again. And then he will relay the message saying that don't worry, Krishna is coming personally. He's coming personally and everything will be fine. So even they know who is the Supreme Person, who is Purushottama. They all know. Here, Mata Sati, she asks so many questions to Lord Shiva, and he says, liberation can be given only by Vishnu. He cannot, Shiva cannot give liberation. He himself says that. And she asks, what is that you meditate upon all the time? I've seen you chanting all the time. He says, I meditate on Lord Ram. Ram, his mantra is Rama, Rama, Rama. And then he says, that's the best mantra. Krishna, a Vaishnava is the greatest. All this information is giving in Bhagavatam. Everything, this conversation is there. And then you see all these demigods, they're all meditating on the Lord. So from Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam, it becomes very clear that the Supreme Person is Krishna himself. That information is very, very clear. That's why it's very important to understand this knowledge and information from a self-realized person, like from an elevated devotee coming from a bona fide parampara system. Otherwise, we'll be misguided. We'll be so confused. We won't know who is God, who we are, where we are going, what's going to happen after death. Nothing. Please recite this one, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Yo mameva sammudo janadi purushottamam sa sarvavid bhajati mam sarva bhavena bharata. Whoever knows me as the Supreme Personality of Godhead without doubting is the knower of everything. He therefore engages himself in full devotional service to me, O son of Bharata. Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. There are so many philosophers. Prabhupada writes, they keep on speculating about their constitutional position, supreme absolute truth. And then, but only a person who knows Lord Krishna to be the supreme person, he is the one in knowledge. No one else. Only he is the knower of everything. Because the imperfect knowers will keep on speculating. They may take millions and millions of births. And Prabhupada says, foolish non-devotees. He says, non-devotees are as foolish, but it is foolish non-devotees. What do? They speculate, they do all kind of things. But even after thousands of births, if they still don't reach that stage of surrender to the Lord, if they keep on speculating and never ends, then they're just wasting time. There's no point. They're just wasting their time, just sitting and mentally speculating. So a person has to reach that stage where he is into devotional service, completely in love with the Lord, and he surrendered to him 100%. So that is the ultimate stage. That's Krishna himself is saying that. Okay. What does he say here? This is the most confidential part of the Vedic scriptures. O sinless one. He is calling Arjuna sinless in this one. And it is disclosed now by me. Whoever understands this will become wise and his endeavors will know perfection. So how do we become perfect? By actually becoming a devotee of Krishna. It is as simple as that. This Vedic knowledge is actually Shruti. Shruti means how do we understand this transcendental knowledge? By oral reception. That is the only way. Submissively we have to hear from the authorities. We should be like a clean slate, it seems. When a spiritual master is actually disclosing all these spiritual matters, we have to be really dumb person. No cross questioning and all. Ask relevant questions completely in the surrendered mode. We should be ready to receive that information what they are giving. That's very, very important. Only then we'll become intelligent and perfect. Very, very important. Otherwise, the material contamination is there for us. We can be as contaminated as possible. But the Lord is like sun. That analogy is given. When sun is there, there is no darkness. When automatically there is no darkness. So when Krishna is actually manifested, when we actually have knowledge, there is no ignorance. So is devotional service performed under the guidance of a spiritual master will remove all the ignorance. Prabhupada says that. So everybody should take to this Krishna consciousness, engage in devotional service, and they naturally become intelligent they'll naturally be free of all kind of material contamination, miseries, all problems will disappear, because they'll know, it is like, there was this nice example, when if it is very dark and you switch on the car and the headlights are on, you can see something, right? There is some light, you can see something. But if there is bright sunlight in the afternoon, you can actually see everything as they are. In the night, you can't see anything. You may see a rope thing that is a snake, or you may see something moving, and you may think, oh, that's a ghost, or anything. There is so much fear. That's ignorance, right? But when you are actually, purified in your consciousness, what happens is you can see things as they are. The outlook changes, everything changes, the whole life changes. So devotional service to the Lord and the Lord himself, they are not different. You are actually already on the transcendental platform if you are performing devotional service and chanting. That is repeated by Prabhupada. If you read his purports, you will feel like he's repeating and repeating and repeating. So by the time you finish the book, you'll feel like there's so many sentences he's telling again and again. That's just to stress on the point that he is the supreme, and what are we supposed to do? He's not wasting time. He's telling us what we should do immediately. So devotional service means it is already happening within the internal energy of the Supreme Lord. It's not on a material platform. Devotional service only is on a transcendental platform. So naturally we'll be transcendentally situated. Transcendental knowledge will dawn on us. Automatically it will happen. Krishna says he himself will give us that intelligence. So summary of Purushottam Yoga. Knowledge explained in this chapter is the essence of Vedanta and the most confidential part, substance of the Vedas. What is the result of understanding all this? One will become wise and his endeavors will become perfect. He will know perfection. What is the qualification to understand Purushottam Yoga? Sinlessness. He called Arjuna Anagha. See, if you remember in the first few chapters, the first chapter and second chapter, in first chapter, Arjuna was crying. He was worried. Oh no, if I kill all these elders in the family, I'll commit sins. He was worried about this. Now here Krishna is calling him Anaga, oh sinless one. That means he's already free of all sinful reactions. He's in the presence of Krishna, and Krishna is actually giving the indication that you are actually sinless. You're already so pure. So devotional service, if you have a relationship with the Lord like this, then everything is like automatically it will bring us to the stage of sinlessness. So everything, all the negativity, the weakness of heart, everything will be vanquished. So we will not fall down again and again. It is possible, Maya is very strong, but if you're constantly in touch with Krishna, it's not going to happen. So why are we suffering actually? Because of the propensity to lord over the material nature, false ego. This is mine, that is mine. I want to materially succeed. I want, you can see in the world, when you ask about somebody's qualification, they will give such a big list. We have to make a resume, and because we have to go and use our skills, get a job, earn for the family, all that is there. But we should not, we should have that realization also that we are very insignificant actually. The Lord is only maintaining us. Without his mercy, we can't even move anything, not our fingers, we can't speak. Everything is because of him. That knowledge, we should never forget that Krishna consciousness, that if a person has completely realized this information and knowledge, he will know that, at every given moment, he will keep thinking, oh, Krishna, I'm just part and parcel of you. I'm just subordinate to you. Help me, that kind of attitude. It's very, very important that, we should not think like I'll be the boss of this nature. I'll exploit Mother Earth. That kind of, it's like Asura, that it's like demons. Demons only are like that. They're very big. You see Hiranyakashipu, all these, they have this very big false ego, right? False identity. So devotional service is actually the process of spiritual understanding. How do we start the devotional service? It starts with chanting. Just start chanting the Lord's name. That's how it starts. Keep on chanting. The more we chant, better for us. Because Prabhupada says, devotional service is like a fight against Maya. Maya is very strong. It is like we are waging a war against Maya so that Maya will not touch us and we'll know what decisions to take, how to lead our life, what to do, and where we are going after we give up this body, everything. Very, very important. So we actually reached the end of the chapter. It sounds very simple. If you read the purports now, it will become very clear, everything will become simple to understand. So in the first 5 verses, becoming detached from the material world, the reflection of the spiritual world that was given, that information was given. So how do we detach ourselves? Everything was given. Very important to hear from authorities, be in the association of devotees, and then transmigrations was discussed from 6 to 11, 12 to 15, Krishna's position as the maintainer, 16 to 20, the 3 shloka Bhagavad Gita, summarizing the Vedas, the Vedanta kind of living entities. So now Krishna described the banyan tree of this material world, but he did not talk much about the fruits at all, right? He did not describe the fruits. In the next chapter, he's going to talk about the fruits. Good fruits, bad fruits. Good fruits are divine qualities. Bad fruits means demoniac qualities. So it's very important to know Krishna, understand Krishna. So knowing Krishna, nobody knows 100%. If the demigods, the closest devotees of, the very intimate devotees of Krishna, they also don't know him 100%. So only a person engaged in bhakti, devotional service, he can actually attain knowledge, realization, and become perfect. Everything about his activities, everything will become perfect. So that is the only way for us to become transcendentally situated. And if you want to become completely self-realized, this is the only process. Prabhupada says that